Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Tuesday, September 20th. Looking at the impact map for today, we do have an area of strong winds of 30 to 40 miles per hour, low humidity rising up across Nevada, far western Utah area will shrink in size tomorrow. The only reason this is not critical is because the fuels in these areas are not critical. They received about a half inch to an inch of rain about a week ago and had significant monsoonal moisture during the summer. And so we are not looking at any large fire potential, although with that drying, a new start in some drier pockets is possible. Otherwise, a strong monsoonal push of moisture starting up in southern and eastern areas today and expanding tomorrow. We actually have flash flood watches all across the Wasatch and central mountains of Utah on eastward, so keep that in mind. And if that wasn't enough, we have another storm system off the California coast, which will start moving inland across northern California into central Oregon by tomorrow and into Thursday with fairly widespread wetting rains and also towards the tail end, colder air mixing in some wet snow possible on the higher peaks across the mountains of central Idaho and western Wyoming. So, a sign of the seasons changing. Here is our flash flood, our flood watch for a good portion of southern and eastern Utah for the next 2 days. Smoke production has been minimal across the area as our heavy smoke producing fires in Northern California and Oregon have seen lots of rainfall. More on the way. You can see that heavy rain band here in the yellow, anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half of rain moving into southern Oregon and nicely coming across the Sierra into our Sierra front, knocking down fuel moistures there. Otherwise, it's been a dry day up in Idaho where we have our current large fires. And with the recent drying, we did have a few small starts, nothing significant. Initial attack fairly light. But this is again the big story. In the past 7 days, we have had moderate to heavy rainfall across much of the eastern half of Nevada and much of western Utah. And this is where the winds will be picking up over the next 2 days. So, not really a concern. Also, we had a fair amount of moisture, about a half inch or to locally 3/4 of an inch across a good portion of the central Idaho mountains. Fuels still hanging by a thread in the Sierra Front and maybe parts of the Snake River Plain, but overall, they are starting to retreat and will get wetter in time. Look how much California and Oregon have wetted down. Look at our ERCs up in the Payette National Forest. They have taken a big nosedive below late September normals, more like mid-October normals. In the Wasatch, where we had some of that initial attack, small fires, even though we're below normal, there has been an uptick with the recent warm, dry weather, but nothing to be concerned about. And in the Sierra Front, Southern Sierra Front, also taking a big nosedive with some of that light precipitation spilling over, again, well below normal. Satellite imagery, high pressure through here, and you can see this moisture starting to push up across a good portion of the Great Basin from south to north and into parts of parts of Idaho. So we'll see how that goes. But there's that deep storm system that we're concerned about, and there it is sitting there on Tuesday, producing a lot of precipitation across northern California. There's the monsoonal moisture starting to come up. Our PSAs are mostly in the green, but here's our wind belt, and this is the area of concern we have here. These 30 to 40 mile an hour winds. The humidities are dry enough. It is just a question of whether the fuels are critical enough at this point. We do not see that fuel part of the equation in place. Also, some increasing winds up in the central mountains of Idaho with dry conditions. So we have some large team fires still ongoing there. Some interior burning today will be a good test this afternoon with the winds and drier humidity to see if there are still some hidden interior pockets of burning. But that'll all come to an end on Wednesday as low pressure moves away from the California coast and moves up into eastern Oregon, bringing clouds and showers to the central Idaho mountains. Monsoonal moisture still in eastern areas starting to exit by the end of the day, but you can see how much of the area is in the green. High humidity in lots of places except for eastern Nevada. Strong winds, again, right along the Nevada-Utah border, but again, fuels here not critical, not even close to critical. Thursday, still The storm system in western Montana, so still clouds and precipitation in the central Idaho mountains. And with cooler air in place, it would not be surprising late Wednesday into early Thursday, see some wet snow mixing in or changing over to a slushy inch or two above 7,000 feet. No critical issues on the 7 day, high humidity throughout. These winds here will be occurring with high humidity, so no issues. 7 day precipitation totals, you can see that heavy precipitation. These blue shades, a half inch to an inch and a half, even some pockets close to 2 inches. In the central Idaho mountains, a little bit less. The models have been backing off a little bit, more like a 1/4 inch to some pockets of a half inch, maybe close to an inch right along the Idaho Yellowstone border, and also some beneficial rain spilling over the Sierra front into northwestern Nevada, 1/10 to a 1/4 of an inch. That's a lot for this time of year for those areas. Otherwise, we dry out after that on Friday. Dry zonal flow, seasonable temperatures, strong cold front up here, but it gets pushed upwards because high pressure starts building in Saturday, Sunday. By Sunday, we get to record temperatures for this time of year. So it's not record temperatures in the hundreds, but probably about 10 degrees above normal. Dry humidity throughout. Some good prescribed burning conditions, I think, setting up here with the warm, dry conditions, but light winds in areas that have had recent precipitation. That pattern continues to hold again for Monday. So no precipitation sight after the next couple of days. So this is the 7 day total, and this is mostly in the first 2 to 3 days. And the 8 to 14 days shows a warmer and drier than normal signal for a large portion of the Great Basin, although normal precipitation for maybe the southern part of the Great Basin. So this time of year, that could mean you get one light wetting rain event moving through during that week, and we're already talking the first week of October. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.